My birthday has come early this year, and my beautiful wife has bought me this toolbox. And until now, you've heard the expression living out of a suitcase. Well, I've been living my car life out of a suitcase. All my tools have been in a suitcase that I brought to Japan. And I know it's not a snap-on box, but I tell you what, it's pretty nice, especially to a guy without a toolbox. Nothing makes you feel at home more than a toolbox. I'm pretty stoked about this toolbox. This is what I was using for my tools. And here's what I'm using now. So I'm going to get gas, and that's one thing I guess you probably don't think about when you're going abroad, where you're going to get gas when you're driving. But there's one thing about living abroad is you tend to buy things that are familiar to you. Doesn't matter what part of your life it is, but you'll be in a shopping mall, and if you see a brand that you know, that you've seen before, you tend to want to buy it regardless of how much more it costs. So I think gasoline is one of those things that's just the same. When you see a gas station that you've seen back home, you tend to want to get gas there. I guess you trust it. I'm not saying where I get gas is any better than another gas station, but it's just more familiar to me. So I'll talk about, where to buy gas and Octane. Octane's kind of an interesting topic. We'll get to that later. In Japan, there are still quite a few gas stations that have full service, but more and more self-serve gas stations are popping up. I guess it's becoming westernized, or just trying to cut costs of prices at the pump. If you rent a car, you come to Japan, you need to get gas. If you go to a full serve gas station, what you want to say is, well, if you want regular gas, regular mantan kudasai, regular mantan kudasai, that's fill it up with regular, please. And if you need high octane gas, they shorten it and say high oku, high oku, high oku mantan kudasai. And usually the service is pretty good when you get gas at a full service station. They'll clean your windows, check your tire pressures, and put air in if you want. Good old-fashioned service. Japan is still the country that appreciates, and service is a big part of their culture, including getting gas. Speaking of rent-a-cars, before I bought my own car in Japan, I rented a car as much as I could, just to keep behind the wheel, and I wanted to do more sightseeing that was away from the train stations. But I found renting a car in Japan really reasonable, if not cheap. if I'm not mistaken, there are several places that allow you to rent a car without a credit card. I think Toyota Rent-A-Car is one of them. You don't need to pay cash. I'm pretty sure you didn't need one for a deposit. I did have one case where I rented a car from a company and there was an Audi in front of me. A stone came off and cracked the windshield. Called the company and they told me just to keep driving it. By the time I got back, it had spread pretty much all over the driver's side of the windscreen. But coming up on the gas station, you should be able to see it, and you might recognize it. Let's check the gas prices today. As you can see, I use the discount and speed pass. So regular goes down to 117 yen, premium 127. So just filled up my tank and it's 127 yen per liter. And that's just because I get a discount from using my speed pass. That's Esso's little quick pay thing. And also I have a card that they gave me. Anybody can get it if you're a regular customer. It gives you another couple yen off. So basically I paid around 120, $1.27, maybe Canadian or American. About this time last year, I'm pretty sure I was paying around 167 yen per liter for the same gas. Must be better gas, right? I think I mentioned just a second ago that I get F1 gas. Actually, I have two choices, well, three. You can get diesel, you can get regular, or F1. At F1, the octane rating is 100, but keep in mind that is RON. So Japan uses the RON calculation for octane, and North America uses an average of RON and MON. And basically the difference in RON and MON, RON is tested at 600 RPM, and MON is tested at 900 RPM, as well as other like driving conditions that may affect the load on the engine. So the ratings are quite different. The RON rating tends to be about 10 points higher. So they're not the same. If you've imported a Japanese car and you found out that they were using gasoline with 100 rating octane, it doesn't mean you need 100 rating octane gas in Canada or the US. You're probably more looking at like something 91, 92. Regarding octane, think about what octane is. Octane and octane rating, two things I think people confuse. So octane itself is what's in gasoline. Basically in gasoline you have octane and cetane, and octane, the more octane, the more gasoline can be compressed. So for a high compression engine, that's why high octane is necessary, because you want to be able to compress that gas more before it ignites. If you put low octane gasoline in a high compression engine, you'll get what's called knock, and that can damage your engine. Some people think the higher the octane, the cleaner the gasoline will be. It's not necessarily true. And how do you get higher octane? Well, you refine the oil more. But instead of refining the oil more, there are additives that will increase the octane rating. So it's not necessarily the octane is more, but the octane rating is increased by additives. Additives also increase things like corrosion inhibitors, things like that. To finish up the rent-a-car story, with the stone that came up off the car in front of me and cracked the windshield. When I got back to the rent-a-car office, I had insurance that should have covered any damage on the car, but they still wanted me to pay for 3 days of rental fee because they could not rent the car while it's being repaired. So the damage was covered, yet they wanted me to pay for something I wasn't going to use. And it completely wasn't my fault. I mean, I didn't get the license plate of the car in front of me. Essentially, their insurance should have paid for it, everything. But I absolutely refused to pay. The guy nearly cried, arguing with me about it. Actually, I think he did cry. In the end, I didn't pay for it. And to me, that was just the cost of doing business. It's not my fault. I mean, it's not their fault. But 3 days to repair a windshield. I've seen a windshield go in and out in about 30 minutes. So I'm not saying it wouldn't have to wait to have it repaired, but to pay for 3 days of rental fees was ridiculous. I think it would have been that rental shop wasn't that cheap either. It would have been like $300. I wasn't going to pay for it. So that's what it's like getting gas in Japan, and some information about Octane, if you didn't already know. Some things to consider next time you go to the pump. Thanks for watching again. See you next time.